Okay, today I want to train with you on the ins and outs of omega-3 fats. So to begin with, why are they important in the first place? The main reason is because your brain is made up of 60% by weight fat, and 40% specifically is omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats are one of three essential fatty acids, and what essential means is that you cannot make them on your own. You have to ingest them. It's the only way to get them is to consume them. So the three essential fats are omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. 6 and 9 are already plentifully abundant in the American diet. They come from vegetable oils, olive oils, things like that. We've got more than enough of that sort of thing, but we are woefully deficient in omega-3s. Once upon a time, omega-3s used to be a very big part of the human diet, but when you feed cows corn instead of grass, they stop making omega-3s, and you can't get it anymore from their milk or from their beef. Chickens, same thing. When chickens eat their wild diet of bugs and whatever nasty stuff chickens eat, they make plenty of omega-3s, and it's in their meat and their eggs. But when you feed them corn instead, then there are no omega-3s in there anymore. Just about the only animal anymore that really is getting to eat its own wild, natural diet is going to be wild fish. Farmed fish is not going to be very high in omega-3s. Farmed fish is going to be fed corn and therefore also not making any omega-3s. So we can't really eat a significant enough amount of fish anymore. One, because just people don't generally like to eat fish every day. And number two, because we have done such an amazing job of polluting the waterways that we can't really afford the amount of mercury and toxic contaminants like that are going to come in via eating fish. So we need to supplement. And so an omega-3 supplement is critical and key for normal brain function and also for normal heart function and other functions in our body as well. The ideal omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is either 1:1 or 1:2 at the very most. So in other words, one omega-3 for every two omega-6s at the most, but ideally more like a 1:1 ratio. And there certainly is a really high link between an omega-3 to 6 ratio that's very, very disproportionate and almost every serious disease you can think of. Heart disease, cancer, you name it. Because we get so much more omega-6 in today's diet than we should and not nearly enough omega-3s. So how do we supplement? Well, it's going to be one of two forms. It's going to be either a fish oil supplement or a krill oil supplement. Now, you will see occasionally that you'll see eggs mentioning that they have omega-3s. You'll see coconut mentioning it has omega-3s. These are omega-3s, but they are a different type. There's multiple different omega-3 fats. There's ALA, EPA, and DHA, and all of your vegetable-based sources, which is going to be coconut oil, flaxseed oil, things like that. Those are all going to be ALA, which is great for your heart, but is not really all that helpful for the brain and the rest of the nervous system. So the EPA and the DHA are what your brain needs. It's really much more the DHA, but EPA is pretty easily and readily converted into DHA. You can convert ALA into EPA and then into DHA, but it doesn't happen easily, and any significant amount of omega-6 in your diet will block and prevent that conversion. So we don't want to bank on that ever happening with people. So flaxseed oil, good for your heart. Coconut oil, good for your heart, but not what your brain needs. Your brain needs it from animal sources. You will see, again, certain eggs that will say that they got omega-3s. It's pretty small amounts. It's nowhere near the amount that you need. So again, we're back to fish oil and krill oil supplements. Now, those two can be in either a phospholipid form or a triglyceride form. So the EPA and the DHA can come in either the phospholipid form, which means that they are piggybacking on top of a phospholipid. Lipid means fat, and phospho would mean it contains phosphorus. Or a triglyceride, which is another type of a fat. So it's just piggybacking on top of a triglyceride. And so the one our brain really will utilize, the one we would find in our brain, is the phospholipid form. And so fish oil is naturally a triglyceride form, and krill oil is naturally a phospholipid form. So the krill oil is already in the right form that your brain needs. You can convert the triglyceride form into the phospholipid form, but certainly you're going to get a better utilization rate if it's already in the phospholipid form. Krill oil also comes with a really nice extra benefit and feature that is going to be an antioxidant that crosses the blood-brain barrier. So we have kind of like a filter between our bloodstream and our brain to try to prevent undesirable things from making it into our brain. And astaxanthin is one of the few antioxidants that crosses that blood-brain barrier. So what makes krill, which are tiny, tiny little shrimp, so bright red is all the astaxanthin in them. If you take regular shrimp and you cook them and they turn pink, that's the astaxanthin. When you see flamingos that look pink, that's from all the shrimp that they're eating having astaxanthin and building up in their body. So we like that in our bodies as well, even though we don't necessarily need to turn pink from it. So we don't get any astaxanthin with fish oil. We do get it with krill oil. So it's an extra benefit of the krill. So I certainly recommend people take one or the other. I recommend the krill a little higher, and therefore I don't carry any fish oil in my office anymore, because we used to carry both. And when we would explain it that way, patients would almost invariably say, well, then I'll take the krill, and the fish would just sit there and rot and go bad before it could sell. Not really rot, but it would go past its expiration date. So I don't carry that anymore, but fortunately fish oil is easy enough to find at Whole Foods, Brighter Day, Lucky's Markets, places like that. But when would it be better for somebody to take fish oil than krill oil? If they have a shellfish allergy, for one, and then the other situation, if somebody says, I just can't swallow pills. Every time I try, I can't do it, and I can't consume anything that's only available in pill form. Well, krill oil is only available in pill form. Fish oil can be found in pill forms or gel caps or just a liquid in a bottle, and that would be the right one for the person who cannot swallow a pill. So what to look for then in those situations where somebody needs to take and utilize a fish oil supplement instead of krill oil for either the pill reason or the shellfish allergy reason? The things you want to look for are that, number one, it needs to specify on the bottle that it came from either the Arctic or Antarctic. Cold water is not good enough. It needs to specify the Arctic or Antarctic. And the reason for that, very simply, is because cold water is a vague term. I went to California, to LA, and when I got into the water was very cold. Is that going to be cold water sourced? New Hampshire, what does that mean? Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle are clearly defined, and we know that in those areas there's little to no industry, and therefore little to no pollution, and therefore the life that you would find in that area tends to be a lot more pure. The water also being so cold is more dense, and you don't get as many pollutants filtering into it. So you're going to get a purer form there. Then we prefer to have things that are at the bottom of the food chain and step over the top of the food chain, because there's a process called bioaccumulation. And what that means is that the tiny, tiny little fish get eaten by slightly bigger fish, which get eaten by really medium-sized fish, and then big fish, and finally the things at the top of the food chain have eaten all of that, basically. And so the tiny little bits of mercury that will get into the cells and tissues of the tiny, tiny little fish through their gills will not be able to get cleared out of the body. It's stuck, it's trapped there forever. So when they get eaten by the medium-sized fish, then now they are not only absorbing mercury through their gills, but also accumulating all from the fish that they ate. The thing at the very top of the food chain, the biggest fish, obviously has the biggest surface area to absorb it through, the biggest gill surface area to absorb it through, plus the most bioaccumulation coming from all of the things below it on the food chain. So by getting herbivorous, tiny little fish like anchovies and sardines and things like that down towards the bottom of the food chain, you get a lot less contaminants in it in the first place. So we're looking for something that came from a place where there's not a lot of contaminants, number one, that is at the lower end of the food chain where there's even less contaminants likely to be in it. And then third, we want to see that it's gone through a pretty significant filter process. So triple molecular distillation is the words you want to look for on the bottle of fish oil. If it says that it went through triple molecular distillation, that means that it's ultra purified and that it should be very safe for consumption. So popular brand names that meet those criteria is going to be Nordic Naturals and Carlson's. Those are going to be some very good options for you there. And those are pretty easy to find, again, at Whole Foods, Lucky Market, Brighter Day, places like that would have a good supplement selection. But the stuff that you're going to get from Sam's Club or Walmart, you want to steer very far clear of that stuff. Same with GNC. People will complain a lot of times about fish oil making them burp and repeat, meaning that they get like a fishy burpy taste kind of thing. And what that comes from is when the fish oil is going rancid. Fish should not taste or smell fishy. If you catch a fish fresh and you pick it up and smell it, it has no fishy smell to it. What makes fish smell fishy is not the fish itself, but rather the oils going rancid and spoiling. So there's not too terribly many companies out there that produce fish and krill oil. There's only just a couple of companies, and then they sell it to all of these other companies that bottle it, maybe put their own little flavoring or something like that into it, and then from there sell it on the market. So when those companies extract the oils from the fish or the krill and they put it into big barrels, companies like Carlson's and Nordic Naturals come in right away and say, we want the freshest stuff and we're willing to pay more for it, and their product won't cause any of that repeating. And then you get companies like Walmart that comes in and says, we want the absolute best possible price we can get. And they point to the very, very far back corner of a lot and say, see those barrels all the way over there? Well, those have been sitting around and we haven't been able to sell those, and I'll make you a really, really good deal on those. And Sam's Club and Walmart says, perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want the best possible deal. So there is a lot of benefit in paying more for a better quality fish oil. If you open the bottle and it smells fishy, I would encourage you not to consume it. It's gone rancid and it's spoiling, and it will not be a nourishment for you, but rather a toxic thing for you then in that situation. So when you go with a good quality krill oil like the one that we carry at our office, or when you go get a Nordic Naturals or Carlson's brand of fish oil, then you should not only not get any of that repeating, but it probably will have a relatively good flavor, like some natural lemon or strawberry, lime kind of thing added to it or something like that. And it's maybe not quite accurate to say it's delicious, but it certainly tastes good, not bad.